Well, hello and welcome to IITW Radio. I'm your host tonight, Travis, and my co-host is Tammy. There you are.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, we got a lot to cover tonight, so let's go ahead and get started. Tonight we're going to be hitting a
Okay.
bunch of different topics: our local, state, and government, and then we got some other stuff, some artists to announce. We got a contest to announce too. Um, I'll bring that up in a little bit, probably on the half hour, or on a quarter after, something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. Um, okay, first up, we have the school board meeting. Or not the school board, I'm sorry. I still got school board stuck on the brain.
It's okay.
Okay.
The joint commission meeting between the Putnam County Commissioners and the Palaca City Commissioners. And that's a quarterly meeting that they have. That was on the 12th, which is Tuesday. And they had some returning business, basically, that they were talking about. They spoke about the areas of the county that are overlapping between the city and the county, and trying to resolve the delineation between the areas in the garbage pickup and the police coverage, the fire coverage, and things like that. And they're trying to get a map done so that those areas are more easily delineated. They're working together with all of those entities to get that done so that those people who work in those areas will know more clearly what areas they're supposed to be working in and who's supposed to do what. A good majority of the meeting was covering that.
What are they going to do? Cut areas out or add
No, I think they're
areas?
just trying to figure out who's supposed to be doing what in what areas. There's a lot of gray areas. There's been a lot of new, I guess, building and changes, and in certain areas, somebody mentions Interlochen and some other areas and enclaves and things like that, that there's just not, it's not clear. When the changes were made, it wasn't clearly delineated, and now there's a lot of confusion in some areas.
Okay.
So they want a map that's very clearly marked so that everybody can have it, so that the fire department can have it, so the police, law enforcement, whether it's the Palatka Police or the Sheriff's Department, says that they're clear because they have a computerized system that tells them very clearly who's theirs and who's the city Palatka Police Department. So they don't really have too much of a problem. I don't think the fire departments have as much of a problem. It seems to be the garbage pickup and that kind of stuff, city and county, water, garbage, those kinds of things. So they want it to be delineated clearly so that they know who does what in those areas. So those were some of the things that they spoke about in that regard. Then they moved on to talk about the festivals and community events. Of course, everyone knows that Blue Crab did not happen this year. There was concern about money and transparency, and the question was asked as far as how much did it cost for the city to provide police coverage, sanitation, those types of things for the Blue Crab Festival, and the answer came at about $20,000 for everything that they provide for the Blue Crab Festival. And Larry Harvey suggested that maybe they needed to make it a smaller festival, perhaps cut down the time and make it smaller like it was in the past, to maybe make it a little bit easier to do. The other thing
Well,
that
the
was
thing with that
suggested,
too is that some of the cost is incurred with the bands, and we've got some bands that can fill in for them. I mean, I'm sure Amanda and the Barnstormers and some of those other ones could come over for a lot cheaper. She's right out of Tampa,
Right.
your buddy. Oh, she kicks
Right.
butt too. And also, you have Three Dimensional over there. I mean, we've got
Mhm.
Richter 7 over here, Steve from Middle Ground.
Right.
You know, I don't know what 309C is. I haven't heard from those guys in a while. But, you know, there's other bands over here that I'm sure would be glad to come out and just jam to have a festival. And I imagine they're paying them quite a bit to come in.
Right.
So that would alleviate probably $4 or $5 right there.
Well, they want the money to stay in the community, and obviously that would be the point of any festival that would happen in Putnam County. And also there was some talk about the money that goes into the festival being whether it would be something that would be just City of Palatka, or whether it would be a joint effort between Palatka and the county, whether it would be something between Crescent City and Palatka, what community, resources would be involved, because a lot of people have evidently expressed a desire to want to do some sort of a community event on that same day. A lot of people on the board, mentioned the fact that there's a lot of other holidays throughout the year who, they could do things on those other holidays. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year to bring tourism into the county, to have these other events that these people want to do. It's not just something that needs to be a Memorial Day event. There's 4th of July, there's Memorial Day, there's Labor Day. When the weather gets cooler in the later months of the year, and after Halloween, in November and December, when the weather gets nicer here, even after the first of the year when the weather's still nice before the weather gets hot again, there's plenty of times that other people can do events in Putnam County and still bring tourism into the area. So they're talking about having a workshop and inviting the public to come and talk about what they want to see happen. So that's still something that they're looking at having.
Yeah, there's a lot of events that they could be promoting. Each year we've been involved with the children in the park. That's
Yes.
over in Crescent City. I mean, that's
Right.
a great program. That's Bruce over at Lakeview Crescent Center heads that up with the Rotary Club. No, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Lions Club, not Rotary Club.
Lions Club, yes.
Lions Club.
So,
But every year over there at that time, at Christmas time, all the kids get 2 toys. Santa shows up. He gets 2 toys, and there's a good time for them. And the festival is pretty
Right.
cheap. I mean, it doesn't cost that much. There's that, of course, we don't have the Blue Cat, but we have the Catfish Festival that goes on in Crescent City. And that's where the Rotary Club uses the money they get from that to donate to the scholarship fund for the kids over at, the high schools and stuff. I'm not sure whatever else there is, but
well, another gentleman did step up at the beginning of the meeting when they had the public forum open, and he was from a group called the South Historical Neighborhood Association, and they're going to have a new event this year, and it was going to be called the Palatka Porch Fest, and they're going to open up an area there in the historical district of Palatka. They're going to close off some of the streets. He said they were going to have local musicians. They were going to have a bunch of different genres of music. He said even Zydeco. And he said that they were going to have local food vendors, local organizations. They were going to be inviting the Humane Society. They were going to get the women's shelter, battered shelter, different organizations like that to come down and set up booths so that people could get more information from them. It was going to be on December the 1st, which I believe falls on a Saturday, and they're going to have it during daylight hours, like an afternoon type of thing, maybe a 4-hour
what
window
is December
of time.
1st? What date?
It's a Saturday.
Saturday. That's going to conflict with I believe the Christmas in the Park for the kids in Crescent City.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
because they usually
okay.
hold it the first Saturday of December.
Okay. Well, I don't know. But that's something that they're looking to do on that Saturday afternoon. So he
Okay.
mentioned that, and
Yeah,
this
you
is the
talk about
first
the
year.
historical thing. I know we're still in the county, but I did call the county today. Didn't get a call back again. But, you know, we got Fort Gates Ferry here. This thing opened up in 1853. It's been a ferry. It was used to transport farmers and soldiers, livestock, wagons, all kinds of stuff. Now they use it for motor vehicles, but it connects pretty much South Putman over to the Ocala forest and stuff. And since the hurricane went through, the thing got wiped out. And you know, a lot of people rely on that stuff. We've got one of the girls, women who works at I'm not going to mention the grocery store right now, but she has to drive. That's how she gets from Ocala, and a lot of people, that's how they get into Putman, which brings in money to the county, but it also helps the economy out here. And
Sure.
for them to drive around, that's a stinking 2-hour trip for most of them, you know, every day, where they could be across in 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
So, and a lot of people are complaining about, you know, the fuel consumption they're having to use, but it brings in a lot of tourists from the other side of the state here. I mean, we are the number one bass fishing capital in the world. I mean, the St. Johns River, the Bass Masters hold their tournaments up here and stuff. And the big bass that they catch, whether it's down on Lake George, south of Putnam County, or if it's north here, those guys release those bass back into this waterway here. We've got some of the best fishing. I mean, when I used to go out with Mr. Jim, we would catch, it was nothing for us to catch 10, 12, 13, 14 pounders. Granted, he knew what he was doing, but, you know, Fort Gates Ferry, it's been shut down. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of that. But, you know, that was during the Civil War, Seminole Indian Wars, all kinds of crap. And it's been going and going and going. But now it's been closed down, and it's affecting a lot of people. And I know the county's involved with that. They hold a contract, but, I mean, we're going on a year now since the hurricane.
Yep.
And,
Just about.
you know, and you've had, who was the guy that came through? Not Robert Redford. Paul Newman, you know, has been there. There's been a lot of famous people come across that thing. But it's a great place to go. And it's even, they got, what's the name of the fish camp down there?
Gateway Fish Camp.
Gateway Fish Camp. You know, you can take the kids down there. I think it's like $5. You can fish off the docks and stuff. And, you know, you can have a good time with the family there. And they get some huge catfish.
It's a fun ride across, too.
Yeah. You know, I used to just take it and ride across just for the scenic view, or just to drive around or go to Ocala Forest to go camping. Now it's a 2-hour trip for me to go camping, which, you know, I don't ever get to do anymore. Okay, go ahead and finish with the county meeting.
For those of us that are old enough to remember, there's Porky's across the way. You can see it from the ferry.
Oh, yeah, the movie Porky's. Yeah, it was filmed not too far from here. You got Crescent Beach.
Yeah.
And that stuff. There's a lot of historical stuff around here. I mean, you got the old homes, all kinds of stuff. You know, and this used to be one of the number one tourist places in Florida back years ago before the economy took a turn. But it seems to be going up all around us except in Putnam County.
Yeah.
You know, actually it says that Fort Gates' houses was established in 1780 as a military outpost. Get their whole flyer and brochure right here. Focus.
Yes.
But it's a cool place to go. It really
It's
is.
a good looking flyer, too.
Yeah. You just get some people in there to support it. You know, they have cabins and stuff there. You can go crash out and stay for the night, weekend. It's real peaceful. If you're looking for a lot of frills, there's no water slides. You will see alligators, turtles. They got some nice vegetable gardens down there. Okay, back to the county meeting now.
Well, that was pretty much the majority of what they talked about, you know. They did talk very briefly about the water bill, the water rates, but there was nothing of any consequence that came out of that. They just mentioned it. They're going to have to talk about that further in the Palatka City Commission meetings, and I'm sure that there's going to be more come out of that, but that's the City Commission meeting subject. That was just something that they touched on, and that was pretty much the end of the meeting.
Okay.
So there will be another Board of County Commissioners meeting on the, let's see, the 26th of this month.
Okay.
For anybody who's interested.
Okay. Any idea what the agenda is?
I can look it up. I haven't looked at it yet. No.
Okay.
We can talk about that on another show.
Yeah, because I've heard different stuff, but again, I have never. The county doesn't seem to call me back. I called them today and told them we'd be doing a show about them and stuff, but I would like to get their side of it. You get a lot of people blaming the county commissioners because there's no work here and stuff like that. The businesses, they're not promoting them. Well, it's not really their job to promote the business. These businesses can advertise. They can advertise with us. There's a couple, the Placa Daily they can advertise on. There's news stations. They can create flyers, but a lot of people sit back and wait on the county to promote them, to boost them. It's not their job to do that,
Right.
And I remain, where I'm biased, try to be as fair as I can. There's a lot of things the county can do. A little more transparency. Returning, there was a meeting last week where a couple of people are, one of them is actually a commissioner, or he's in the government here. And the number one complaint that people had was that they don't call back. Whenever they call, and these guys are elected by the county people here, and they should return phone calls. They return them before and the gentleman's comment was, well, I'll start returning calls. Okay, we're up at election again. Yeah, you're going to start returning calls.
Mm-hmm.
We're good enough to, promote people to get into office, and then they don't return calls. We've got a lady, I'm going to get her on the phone here in a minute. Teresa. Let's go ahead and try to get her on here. Here's a quick thing of what happened to this lady. Her road, which I've got the same problem in front of mine. I've been calling the county for 2 years trying to get them to come out and fix the road in front of my house. I live on a hill. They've taken their dirt from the top of the hill and they keep taking it off the main road and putting it on the bottom road because one guy keeps calling in all the time. On my road, he's a whiner, one of my neighbors. I wish the guy would sell his house and move out, but anyways, they fixed the bottom of my road, what they call fixing it. Now it's caused the bottom of my yard to flood out, and the top of the road where they've taken the good road base off. They get people stuck out there every week. I'm out there. I have to take my truck, go out there and pull them out of the road. So they're trying to get a hold of Teresa on the phone right now. But her thing is that they came out and did the road in front of her house, and they put in a concrete driveway. Now the dirt is washing from the road into her thing, and now it's created a foot gap in her road. And she's been calling for a few weeks. She even called the police department. Was it 2 weeks ago? The sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Because that's
That
what it
was
says on
she
their
told
website.
me, yeah.
Hello, are you there, Teresa?
Yes, I am.
How are you doing this evening?
Okay, how are you?
Oh, if I say any better, I'd be you, lady. I was just telling about the problem you have with the road out in front of your house. Now, your husband has some medical issues, and just fill us in what's going on with your road out there. And
Well, my husband's got COPD emphysema, and for the last 3 years now, we've been, well, actually 6 years, we've been digging out every time it rains. It washes down on the driveway.
Teresa, hang on one second. While
Sure.
while she's talking, you guys, we're going to put up pictures of her driveway so you can see them up, and you can see exactly what she's talking about. Go ahead and can me and Tammy and put the picture up. Can me and Tammy's picture and put her picture up. This right here. Okay. Okay, we're looking at the first picture here with from a side view. It's looking down the road. The road looks in pretty good shape, but your driveway, good almighty.
Yeah, the road itself is not that bad, but what's happening is the water runs down the road, cuts across, and then comes right down my driveway and washes everything out.
So it never did that before they redid the road?
that for the last 6 years.
Okay.
But they came out one time and they brought a truckload of stone out and regraded the road and slanted everything to the other way. And it solved it for a little bit. But then every time the grader truck comes now, they come along the road and they build up the other side of the road to where the water can't get off the road, so it just runs down the road, cuts across the road, and then just washes my driveway out.
Is it doing it on anybody else's driveways down through there?
No.
No?
No, we're
Just
kind of
yours.
down in a gully because of the way they've built this road up, and everybody else is up higher than us.
Okay. Can you turn your radio, where you're listening to IITW on it, down a little bit in the back? It's
Hold
getting
on
a bad
minute.
echo.
Just turn it down or off.
Or you can turn it off for a minute if you like. That way we don't get the feedback.
Okay, well, I was getting that before, but let me see.
I talked to Teresa earlier today. She's like myself. With the computers
I
and
just
stuff,
shut it
we had to
off.
talk about that. Okay. Now it doesn't. This is not happening in anybody else's driveway except for yours. And you said you told me earlier today you talked to him you called for the last 2 weeks, and then you called the sheriff's department.
Yeah, we called and spoke to a woman at the Public Works, told them that, we couldn't get an emergency vehicle, could not get down into our driveway because of the rut that it's done. We heard absolutely nothing from them. She was supposed to have a supervisor, contact us, and no one has called. So 2 days ago, I got back on their website, and on the bottom of the website for Public Works, it said in case of an emergency, for road washout or anything like that, to call the sheriff's office. So I said, okay. So I called the sheriff's office, told them what was going on, and they said that they were going to call Public Works for me. Well, I still haven't heard anything from anybody.
Okay. And so they got a hold of the sheriff's department, and nothing's still been done. Oh, it's not the sheriff's department's job, but I'm sure they contacted them.
Right, I'm sure they did, but no one has contacted us.
This next picture that we've got up, it shows the gate there in the road. Now, you said that
That's all the sand that washes down off of the road to the start of my concrete driveway.
Yeah, now you guys put in a concrete driveway, right?
Yeah, it's about a 65-foot, 70-foot concrete driveway.
And now it's completely covered with sand and stuff from the problem they've created?
It's from the road. The sand is covering the front of it around the gate to the point where we can't get the gate open sometimes. What you're seeing that was dug up was us trying to get the gate open because of the sand that come down and washed in.
Okay. We'll pull up the next picture.
And if we can't get the gate open, we can't get to our driveway.
Okay. All right, so that kind of makes it difficult if you got to have EMS. You said your husband only has, was it 22% lung capacity
Yeah, 25%.
or 25%? Because he has emphysema and stuff and some other
Yes.
health issues. So what are you going to do if an ambulance comes?
I guess they're going to have to come down here and wheel him up the hill to get him in the back of the ambulance because the ambulance isn't going to be able to back in the driveway the way it used to.
Well, that's going to be kind of hard with that. How deep is that rut? You said a foot deep?
Probably about a foot deep in some spots.
Okay. I did call the county today over there to Road Works. We got another picture to pull up of that to see if they'll be out there. I don't know if it'll do any good or not. Hopefully, they're supposed to listen to it. This is the next picture of what it looks like. That's a mess. Go ahead and pull up the last picture there.
Yeah, and my husband goes out and he tries to shovel it all back in, and then as soon as it rains, it all comes right back out again.
Well, that's going to kind of be rough on him with only having, 20.
It is. I mean, he can do a little bit, and then he has to stop and use an inhaler, and then he has to come in and do a breathing treatment and go back out and do it again. So right now, it's just a big rut there with sand all over the driveway because it's just too hot for him to try to get out there and even try to clear it up.
What is that, big rocks in there?
It's just whatever was it underneath of the. I don't know what it is.
It looks like the picture we're looking at now has, I don't know if you can see it on your computer.
No, I turned it off because it wasn't working. Something wasn't working right with the site.
Okay. Was that on YouTube or?
No, it was on your website.
Oh no.
No, she had both playing at the same time.
Oh, because you have both playing at the same time. That's what it is.
I could see
Once you hang up with us, it'll you'll be able to see it again. But this one picture is showing it looks like a crater.
Yeah, but it was whatever's down in there. It almost looks like clay, but I don't think there's too much clay around Florida, is there?
Well, they bring it in the road base and stuff.
Well, then
Yeah,
that's
we have.
probably what they brought in originally when the road was put in.
Okay, if it's the picture that we're looking at now is looking out toward the road. On the left side, it looks like it's washed out, and then the right side is washed out real bad. Go ahead and put the last picture up.
Yeah, it's the right side looking up towards the road from my property is where it's the worst.
Okay. And then this is the picture looking down into the drive. That's quite a ways down in there.
Yeah, like I said, we've got to. When the last time they came through and they brought all the stone in, they built the road up at least another foot to the point where, luckily, I drive a SUV, so I can back up over that hump. But if anybody that tries to get in here with a car, something that sits low to the ground, they can't get in our driveway, period, because they've built the road up so far.
Okay. I see what you're talking about in the picture. They would bottom out. The
Right.
center of the car would. I can see the scrape marks on the ground there.
Right.
All right. Well, hopefully they'll hear it, and you can go ahead and take the pictures down. Hopefully they'll hear it, Teresa, and they'll be out there. I'm sure they're going to be out there Monday or Tuesday. If not, what we're going to do is ask everybody to call in, and we'll put your address up. If they're not there by Wednesday, you call me back, and we'll make sure we put their address up and
Okay.
their phone number over there, and we get a few thousand people calling in and raising Cain for you. I'm
Okay, I
sure they'll
appreciate
be
it.
out there. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I haven't been able to get them to call me back in almost 2 years now.
I know. I don't understand it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling in, and God love you and your husband. Tell him
Thank you.
Tell him we hope he feels better. He'll be in our prayers, and we'll see what we can do about getting you some help on that road.
All right. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I think she's gone.
My goodness, what a mess.
Okay. Okay, so what else we got? We got this one. I'm going to call it.
Now our next story.
I'm going to call it our dumbass of the week. People are going to write in or call in and about me saying that. There's some people that we call geniuses, and then there's other people we just call total dumbasses. Okay,
Yeah.
Get offended if you want. I don't care. Okay, put up the hump picture and explain that, Tammy.
Well, right? Evidently, on this past weekend, there was a country music festival in Minnesota, and I know that a lot of people like big trucks and they like big tailpipes because they make a lot of noise and what have you. But this lady in Minnesota had an especially, I guess she had an affinity for tailpipes or something. She saw this tailpipe and the size of it. She thought, I could stick my head in this. Why? I don't know. Why would you want to go stick your head in a tailpipe? She did. And she got stuck. 45 minutes. Took the firefighters 45 minutes to get her head out of the tailpipe.
Back in the day, we used to stick potatoes. I used to go and cram Oritas up my buddy's tailpipes, only because it was funny. After they cranked it a few times, it'd blow potato salad all over everybody that was around. But what what was she thinking, or not?
You got me. I don't know.
Did they say if it was beer or massive drugs involved?
I've actually seen this story.
They didn't say. I don't think.
Chris, our IT guy, put your thing on here so you can talk. He read the story. There's Chris with his famous wave.
But no, she was very, very drunk.
Was she? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It didn't say that in the article that I saw.
Where I saw the story, she was just incredibly, incredibly drunk, and went, "This seems like a fun idea." Though she did say she did learn a lesson to not stick your head in a tailpipe.
I would hope so.
I-
The article that I looked at from Road and Track magazine, they gave some suggestions. They said if you see a tailpipe that looks like you could fit your head in it, to try maybe a melon or a head of lettuce or a balloon or some other things, but don't stick your head in the tailpipe.
I'm at a loss for words. Good Lord.
I saw it and I was like, what?
That's nuts.
I know, right?
Right. How do you not get your head out of there, though? I mean, why even stick it in there? Oh, I think I'll get some soot on here. I'm getting a little gray on the top.
I know. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, what in this world?
That's just
Crazy.
messed up.
And you know what? I was happy it wasn't in Florida. That
Where was
the
it?
one thing that made me happy. It just wasn't in Florida.
That's like something they would do around here.
I know, but it wasn't. Thank God.
You know, I've never walked up to a truck or anything else and said, well, see if I can stick my head up that. I did see the guy on YouTube that was cleaning up behind the elephant, and the elephant squatted on him. His head went right up his butt, and he was sitting there screaming. I mean, I'm sure it sounded like, but, you know,
Yeah.
he got his head stuck up there. We did have the one guy that we reported on years ago that got his winker stuck in a pool return down in Orlando. And then I guess it was DIZ at the time had offered $10,000 for anybody who could get him on the air. People don't stick
Can't
your
blame the
head.
guy for not wanting to,
Don't stick your head or anything else where it doesn't belong.
right.
Okay, you can take that picture down. That is just messed up. Good Lord. It messed me up so bad I got to find my notes. I do have a couple of people I want to mention. A couple of our sponsors, T-Mobile. Put that one up, Chris. T-Mobile right now down in Daytona Beach at 2400 West International Speedway is offering right now, if you go in there and tell them over the weekend? Oh, it's running a week long. Okay, they're going to do
All weekend long.
all weekend or all week?
Weekend.
Oh, all weekend long. They're offering buy one, get one free. And that's on any LG, Samsung, or Apple phones. They said it's a great time to add new friends and families. If you mention IITW Radio, when you go in there, they're going to donate $50 to a charity. We're going to put up several different charities and see which ones our readers and listeners vote on for it to go to. Or it could go to like the fund that little Robbie, the kid that passed away last week from brain cancer. More than likely it'll wind up going to something like that. But they'll also give you $50. So you can go in there and get one free, get $50 donated to a charity.
BOGO Bonanza.
And it's called, I was getting to that. And it's called the BOGO Bonanza. Just go in there and tell them that IITW Radio. You'll find that they play our music in there all the time. So check with them and make sure to mention IITW Radio and get your $50 and get $50 donated to a charity. If you want to go ahead and take your $50 and give it to the charity, I'm sure they wouldn't mind it either. Okay, and then we have Cars over in Palaca. And as community automotive repair specialists, I actually know Jason and Tracy over there, and they do great work. They're open Monday through Friday. They have alignment special running right now. If you mention IITW Radio, it's $49.95 instead of $120 like most places. They'll do it for $49.95. That's Jason and Tracy. Jason runs the place. Tracy's out right now. They just had a baby, cutest little baby. You seen the pictures of it, Tammy?
Yes,
Baby's cute as a button.
adorable.
Okay. Let's see. Also, I want to send our condolences out. There was two deputy sheriffs that were shot in Kansas. You got the script on that, Tammy?
I do. That happened this afternoon. Evidently, there was a hoax phone call that resulted in that shooting, and that was the person who shot the two officers was arrested. It was one of the officers was killed. One of the officers is in critical condition, and we do want to send our condolences out to the officer's family who was killed, and the officer who is in critical condition. Of course, our prayers go out to his family as well. We do hope that he pulls through. They're not releasing a lot of information about what happened at this point. They're saying that there was some sort of a prank phone call, but I'm not sure exactly what happened. It's really, like I say, there's not a lot of information. So
Yeah.
I guess they'll release more later as they find out more about what happened.
Yeah, we'll let you know on the Monday night show. Yeah, Monday night too. We've got From the Ether. It's a man and wife couple. They'll be on. We'll be giving their CD away. You can catch them on IITW radio during the week. We'll be giving their new CD away. Is this a single or a full album? Okay, it's a full CD. 6 songs on it, and they did sign it. So that'll be something you'll want to enter to get that. They're a great group.
Cool.
Also, on Monday, we have a guy. There's been a whole lot about Judge DuPont in the news. He was kicked off the bench for some voting violations and stuff. He had put some stuff up on YouTube, unethical voting practices, that kind of stuff. And I've been contacted. I did an article about him, I asked if anybody had any dealings with him, and I was shocked at the amount of emails we got. What was it, over 200 from
At
people?
least.
Yeah, at least 200 on people saying that he had violated their constitutional rights and stuff. The one guy that will be coming on Monday evening after From the Ether is Robert or Bob. Met Bob sometime a while back. Anyways, during his divorce, we'll get into the whole story, but there's guns involved that went to a drug dealer that Judge Pont indirectly allowed to go to that drug dealer because there was an emergency thing filed. And this is a divorce. During the divorce, because there was an assessment, the judge asked for the business. Bob didn't have the 10 grand to go lay out for the company to come in and assess his business. So DuPont locked him up, even though there's laws, and he put it under contempt of court. And he kept him in jail for, I don't know, I think it was like 2 weeks. I'll have to pull up the thing. There's a lot to it. I mean, I've been researching this one for a while. There's also another couple over in Palaca to where that their child support was raised more than what the man and his new wife made during a month they were paying in child support. And then the list goes on and on and on. I mean, it's nuts. And now he's trying to get back on the bench again. The Florida Judicial Qualification Committee ruled that he shouldn't be on the bench. Other judges said he shouldn't be on the bench, and he's still trying to get on the bench. You know, last thing we need is a crooked judge in this county. So, but Bob's story will be coming up on Monday. Then on Wednesday, we have Shimmer Johnson coming up, and another great artist. And we also have a story about young man that I wrote an article on, what was it, a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
For another
Been a
paper.
while.
You know who I'm talking about. His name is James.
Yes.
And when I found this guy, he was living in the woods. He was homeless, young kid, had the bottom of his foot cut off by a lawnmower. It was degloved it and took all his calf muscle off. And when I found him, he was living on a diet of roaches and rats. He had a mattress cut out, and he would put his body in it. It was under a house that had collapsed probably 30 years previous, and he had cut the size of his body out, which is only 5'1". Oh wait, I got to say and a half, 5'1.5". He gets pissed off if I don't say that half inch, but he was living on a diet of bugs. I mean, talking lizards, roaches, whatever he could find underneath this old collapsed house. And he cut the mattress out to the shape of his body. And when the rats would run across his chest, he would grab them, snap their neck, and then he would put them on a fire and eat them. You know, and he goes, it's really not that bad. But he's a victim of circumstance is what it was. And it just went downhill from there. He got bit by a water moccasin and just recently lost his finger trying to break up two dogs in a fight that were one of his buddies had come over with his pit bull and his dog, and that dog got in a fight and he tried to break them off, and this dog bit his finger off. I mean, right to the stinking nub. I think it was his middle finger. But anyways, he'll be on the show next week. He's a really good kid too. It's a shame. Some people just should be named Murphy because Murphy's Law follows them around forever. He's one of them. Okay. You got anything to add to that? You've met him.
I have, and you're right about that, Travis. He definitely is a perfect example of what Murphy's Law can do in someone's life. Bless his heart. And he's one of those people that just tries to do the best he can to help other people, and that's kind of what gets him into trouble sometimes, because he's trying to do the best he can, and that, gets him into trouble. But he's a good kid.
Yeah, you guys won't believe this guy's story. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's not even the major stuff.
It is, yeah. He's got an absolutely incredible story, but just a really nice guy. But I think everybody will, be amazed at everything he's been through and still has the fantastic attitude that he does. So
I asked him if he ever
it'll be worth listening to.
I asked him if he ever thought about suicide. He goes, every day I'm just too chicken to do it. I said, I know the feeling. If anybody ever says that I committed suicide, it's a lie. The government got me. Just take it at that. Okay, you got anything else you want to add about? Jeff, we do need to get people to get behind him and not just help him, but Corinne Brown was involved in it. She's she was our representative who is now sitting in prison and told me that she didn't give a rat's ass about him, that nobody had to tell her what to do. She didn't feel like doing it. She wasn't going to do it. Let's see. Oh, the other thing in the news today, Jerry Springer ends today after what, 500 years?
Really? I did not see that.
Yeah, they came across my news feed earlier.
Oh, wow.
No more Jerry.
He's been on forever.
What are they going to say now? Nancy.
Who's going to take his place? Oh, my gosh.
Nobody will ever be able to take Springer's place,
I know. He was unique and unto himself.
I remember one of the first interviews I saw him in, he goes, I don't know what's wrong with these people. They just like fighting, so I just let them fight. And that's what his whole premise has been built on.
Well, didn't his sidekick, what was it, Steve? The bald guy, Steve?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a spin-off show or something?
Yeah,
Does he still have his show?
Steve, what's his last name? I can't remember his last name. I keep wanting to think Kevorkian, but it's not Kevorkian.
Oh my gosh.
I can't remember his name. You'd have to ask your mom.
know.
Go get your mom.
No,
Is she in the studio?
She's happy watching the show from where she's at.
Oh, hello, Mom. I really want to get her on the air one night. Is there any way you can slip some alcohol in her chili or something? We'll get her on there because she knows all this I mean, we could
Not Jerry Springer.
well, not
She
Springer,
wasn't a
but
Jerry Springer fan.
she watches The View and all this. You know, we don't have anybody really do celebrity stuff.
Steve Wilkos.
Wilco's, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, I met him. He was down in DeLand years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he had down in Orlando and stuff, and he had a little, I believe it was a computer store. And then
Oh, my.
later, I saw him on Springer. I think he also had a security guard company, or something like that. I don't know. I never really keep up with that. The only reason I watch Springer is to watch cat fights and, you know, just how stupid people are.
Who's the
wouldn't-
baby daddy?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on there. Speaking of baby daddy, did you see that? Was it Hallmark that put up the card? It says baby daddy on it.
Oh,
And they had to go back and apologize for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts. I would have just kept it up. I thought it was pretty funny. I don't think many people get offended as they say, but these
I
companies need
think
to
they
quit it.
should have left that.
I would have left it.
You know, there's a lot of baby daddies out there.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a black thing. Or they said because it was racist or something. I don't see how it's racist.
That's not racist. That's just an all over the place thing.
Yeah. I mean, you're Hispanic. You would probably buy a card like that for somebody. Maybe not.
Well, that doesn't apply
Would you get
in my
offended?
case specifically, but I think there's a lot of baby daddies out there.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? You know, I don't know. I
Yep.
thought it was kind of funny.
I did too. Yeah, it's too people get too offended anymore. If they get offended, they better not listen to this show. Have a policy. If I don't offend at least once a night, I'm not doing my job. Yeah, so Springer's out of there. That stinks.
Yeah, well, I think Steve Wilkos probably going to take as much of his place as he can, because his show is still going to go on. WSJ is his show.
It'll never be Springer though. You know, just like Johnny
No,
Carson, Jimmy Kimmel, and all those other guys.
Things grow and change.
None of them ever come as close as Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon.
That's true.
If we lived
That's
200 more years, we wouldn't come as close as those guys.
No.
All the greats are pretty much gone anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's just it.
You know, I talked to a gentleman today. Do we have Carl's picture? We don't? Okay. This is a gentleman over that was in the last county school board meeting. And I don't know, I felt he got treated really unfair. Now, I've known who Carl is. I've not known him personally. That today is actually the first conversation I've ever had with him. And, you know, he had something he said today, which I've said it 100 times, is that people need to quit voting for their party. Forget the parties anymore. And people have gotten locked and landlocked into this thing where I'm only going to vote Democrat, or I'm only going to vote Republican, which is a total crap. They should be voting a candidate and what they represent, you know, and all sides bring something good to the table. I mean, doesn't seem to me like the Democratic Party does anymore. They can't find, and I'm not for Trump. He's the president. I will back him, you know. I did same with Obama. I mean, I didn't like a lot of the stuff he did. I'm sure he was a nice guy. A couple of things that Trump's done I don't like. But, you know, when you can go into North Korea, every other president, including Obama, sat on his butt, didn't do anything about North Korea. You know, and today Trump was up in the top. Well, let me get back on to Carl. I'll go back into that. Carl is probably one of the nicest gentlemen you ever meet. He's also a preacher. But he gets up, and even though he's not in the county seats anywhere, he still gets up and voices his opinion, which is something that this county and community in the United States is missing. But Carl, I asked him today if he was going to run for office again. This guy cares about the community. He doesn't care about a paycheck. You know, He doesn't care about any of that. He cares about this community. He's from this community, from this county. And he said if enough people would back him, so this coming week I want to get an article up about him. I'm going to go out and interview him and talk to him. But Carl is a guy I would endorse to my last breath. He's a Democrat. You know how I feel about a lot of Democrats right now. But I wouldn't vote for him because he's a Democrat or a Republican. But a while back, he was told that he needed to switch parties and everything else. There was a lot of stuff that went on, and he didn't deserve the things that some people were saying about him, which were blatant lies. He did not deserve that whatsoever. You know, and politics has gone into a smearing thing. I mean, you look at Hollywood. They become political. The football teams. When I go to a football game, I want to watch a football game. I don't want to see a guy out there making 100 or 1,000 times more than our soldiers out there. He's out there to entertain, not to put his political crap or views out on me. And I won't even watch a NFL game this year just for that reason. I'm sticking with only college. And if they start doing it, I'll quit watching football altogether. You know, I'll go to watching that, what is it, where the women swim in the pools doing the whole
Synchronized swimming.
That's it, synchronized swimming. But yeah, I hope everybody will get there and start writing in. I want to do an article about Carl on the Putman Way this week, and then I'm sure we're going to get him in the studio. And we need to put this guy in office. He said if he saw enough response, he would run. And that's what needs to happen. We've also got April. We got April's picture up there. She's running for District 3. I'm sure we got her somewhere. Chris is pretty good because she wasn't even in the photo lineup, and he found it right away. April is running for District 3. You guys vote for her. I mean, I don't even know who else is running in District 3, but I know who I would want to see in there. Yeah. And because I've left messages for all the county commissioners. As a matter of fact, today, I even left a message. And she said, which one would you like to call you back? I said, all of them. Maybe one.
Maybe one will call you.
It's not to smear them or anything. I just want some answers, like about Fort Gates. Not me. I mean, I'd like to know about it, but when we start getting all these, write-ins and stuff, and then they're expecting us to find out answers for them, instead of getting 200, 300 calls or 1,000 calls. So what I'm going to start doing after this week, if they don't call me back, what I'm going to start doing is just telling everybody, here's who you need to call. And it'll be like what happened with the school board when Phyllis Criswell was in there. And you remember that when she called up when she said we wasn't a legitimate news source. We'll just have the people just call them, or show up at the county. A lot of them can't make the county commissioners meetings, but if they don't get answers, show up at the meetings. Mm-hmm. Don't let them leave there. Make them spend 10 or 12 hours there until everybody gets their questions answered, because it's not fair that we have to go on and answer everybody's questions, but it would be a lot easier for them to say, hey, this is what's going on. It's not to smear them. It's just for answers. And when you don't give answers, that's not being transparent. And they're not getting, it looks like they're hiding. And there's, a lot of them I have. Larry Harvey, I have a lot of respect for Larry. Chip Lible, Larry I've talked to a couple times in the past. Mm-hmm. I honestly feel that guy is trying to make a difference in Putnam County. Mm-hmm. Sure. But when they don't call back, they don't call back. What are you going to do?
And Travis, a lot of our growth came out of the need that people had in the community to be heard by someone, mm-hmm. because they weren't being heard by their county representatives. And when they had a problem and they had tried so hard to get in touch with somebody somewhere that would help them get their problems resolved, they didn't have anybody else to turn to. They turned to us. And I can't tell you the number of messages we receive on the page and from people who had an issue, whether it was a small issue of just not knowing where something was, or who they should contact, to something like tonight's issue with, what was her name, Teresa?
Yeah.
With the issue that she's got going on at the end of her driveway, something like that, to even when we were up with people at all hours during the hurricane last year, when they needed information about services or what was happening or where they could go get something that they needed, or just wanted to know that someone was there with them while they were in the heat of what was, the storm and what was going on, because we were up with them.
Yeah, I think we were
through
the
whole
only ones.
thing.
Yeah, and there was a lot of stuff that we didn't get calls back on, and then there was some people that did call us from. Did the EOC call us or let us know what was going on? I know during the freeze, they kind of.
Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. There was a lot of information that I had to dig out on my own, and I'm not trying to knock them because they were busy too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were running around and they were trying to get a lot of things done. I had a lot of, just trying to answer a lot of different questions. People had a lot of different things they were asking, but we did our best to try to get as many things answered for people as we possibly could.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I had one of them
you
ask
know.
me one time over there, well, I don't know why they're calling you. And I said, because you don't answer their calls.
Mhm.
That's the only reason they're calling us.
Exactly.
If you guys would do your job, we'd probably be out of a job. I mean, we could talk about the idiots that get arrested and, stick their head in tailpipes and stuff, but that's still funny.
Yeah.
And then did you notice the guy that we were talking about last week, the guy that took his drugs into the sheriff's office and
Yes.
and said he needed them tested? He made national news, made CNN.
Yes.
Woo!
I know, and I'm still seeing his face pop up on our Twitter feed. I mean, I just looked at it a little while ago, and it's still coming up.
I still think the other guy with his
that
tongue.
hasn't gone away.
I still think the other guy with his tongue sticking out was, a much better mugshot. Matter of fact, they threw him out of a restaurant here after he got out of jail, right down the road from me.
Kidding? Wow.
Yeah. And the offer still stands from the Putnam County Sheriff's Department, and I'm sure any of the other sheriff's offices around the country. You want to bring in your drugs that you're buying on the street and get them tested? They'll test them for you for free, and there's such nice people that even put you up for a couple of days. I mean, you can call up Joe Wells, I'm
3
sure.
hots and a cot.
Call up Joe Wells over there. Joe's a great guy over at the Putnam County Sheriff's Office.
Yep.
Call up Joe, ask for Joe Wells, and tell him you got some you got some drugs that you bought on the street that you need tested. And he's such a nice guy. He will make sure that your drugs get tested, and that they'll even put you up at the Gray Bar Motel for a few days and feed you and clothe you. Make sure you got a shower, all that.
Not a problem.
Some people amaze me. We got, because we're on the half hour here, another guy he's not only our attorney for the Putnam Way and for IITW Radio, but he's also one of my personal friends. That's Greg Williams over there. Yeah, Greg's up in Jacksonville. I'll tell you what, you guys want to see a good attorney get up and fight for you? I had contacted years ago several attorneys in Putnam County, that I wanted to represent the Putnam Way and some other legal stuff and all that. And I wound up talking to Greg, and him and I became good friends. And you can see his picture up there. He's up in Jacksonville. Now, Greg does, he handles criminal defense needs. He'll do anything that you need in the way of law, except for murder somebody or maim them. That's what Greg said. If you murder someone, don't call me. He also handles county and state court cases in North Florida. If you live in Putnam County and you need Greg to come down and represent you, I know we have a lot of listeners in Jacksonville and Ocala and stuff. If you really need him to come down and you don't feel like you're getting a fair shake from any of your attorneys, give Greg a call and he'll drive down here. He might charge you gas money, but he'll drive down here. And I know Greg, I've sent quite a few people to Greg, and he does work with them. If you don't have the money, Greg will work with you. He can set up a payment plan and help you out. He's a hell of a nice guy. He's also into politics big time, but he's not going to let your constitutional rights get violated. You know, people screw up all the time. Doesn't mean that they're criminals, but I wouldn't take a public defender to save my life. So if you guys want to get some, call up Greg Williams. And you should have his number. If not, send us a message over. We'll send you that. Or just look him up. And do they even have Yellow Pages anymore? Use your iPhone. Google him.
Mine.
Then we have O'Reilly's. O'Reilly's Auto Parts. We're doing a contest with these guys this week. JR, the guy is one of the best around. I love this guy. Anytime he's ever asking for a contest, we got a Father's Day contest going on. If you guys go on IITWradio.com, IITW Radio on Facebook, The Putman Way, or if you're on Facebook right now, or YouTube, I'm sorry. If you're on YouTube, if you want to type in the comment that whenever I get my auto parts, I get them from JR at O'Reilly's, you can enter the contest. Now, what we're doing, normally we only do it on the Putman Way. This weekend, because it being a short trip to Father's Day, you can only enter these contests, your name one time. Do not put it in there 2 or 3 times underneath the comments. And that post will be up tonight after the show, right? Or is it already up
Yes.
for the contest?
I have not put it up yet. It will be up after.
Okay, after this, you go on IITW Radio on Facebook or on the Putman Way, and you enter the contest by typing in the phrase below that. Whenever I want to get my auto parts, I get them from JR over and there. It'll tell you exactly what to do. You can copy and paste it. Do not enter it more than one time on that particular page. You can only enter it once on the Putman Way Facebook page, once on IITW Radio, once on there, but it will give you 3 or 4 chances to win. And what we're giving away, O'Reilly's is giving away 5 quarts, oil change. No big trucks. You're not going to get 10 or 15 quarts like my big old 350 takes, but you'll get oil filter. There's 5 quarts of oil. There's hand cleaner. There's the rags, mechanic shop rags. There's a funnel and an oil pan, all in that, which is a really good deal. And you don't have to do anything but just go on there and type that you love O'Reilly's or JR. You ever seen his bikes that he builds, Tammy?
I have not, no.
Oh, my God. The guy's incredible. He needs his own show. And he's got a Jeep he just told me about today. You know how I feel about Jeeps. They're my favorite.
I do. Well, we need to go over there and do a remote show from there.
Every time
Or
I
from
go over
wherever
there,
his bikes are.
every time I go over there, he's like, "No, don't put me up. Don't put me up." It was forever to get his picture right there. That's why we kept that one in the archives. He's always trying to I like to do the assistant manager or do this or do that.
So he's camera shy.
Oh, big time. Also, the last one on the list is Bird's Sales. Mr. Bird is a good Christian man. He has, the building that I'm in. It's custom built building. It has the pitched roofs. It's all for the studio and everything. He has buildings over there, and don't be afraid to go over there and look at them. He has greenhouses, gazebos, little ones, big ones, all kinds. He delivers them. He sets them up. He'll work with you if you want to rent to own one. He'll work with you. The payments are not that much. You'd be really surprised. He's right there in San Mateo. The address is up on the screen right now. 624 Highway 17 South in San Mateo. 386-328-1020. or you can go to Bird BYRD sales or Birds BYRDSSALES and you can check out his stuff. Or we have his stuff up on the Putman Way too, don't we? Just go into photos and go to album page. We got all kinds of stuff on there. But he'll work with you if you want. You can finance. You can't hear Tammy talking. Tammy, are you still there? I don't know what happened, but your mic got lost.
Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, there you are.
Okay.
You're back. Okay. So that's all. But Mr. Bird will work with you, and he delivers them. He sets them up personally. I see the guy driving down the road every day, him and his son. But his family owned and operated pretty much. I'm not sure if their secretary there. Great lady. But Mr. Bird is a good man. Okay. Go ahead and take that one down, Chris. Did you see today where Trump was up in the White House and he saw Fox News down on the lawn and he tweeted out, "I think I'll go down there." And I'm just paraphrasing.
Yes.
Don't anybody take me for quotes here. And he said he'd go down there. I love one of the fake news ones that asked him. It was something about how he commented about, he didn't praise Kim Jong-un about the way he treats his people, but they asked him about the comment he had made, and he said, look, he goes, yeah, I said that, and he goes, I don't want to see a nuclear weapon destroy you or your family. You got a lot of people bashing him. Like I said, there's a few things that he's done that I don't like, and a lot that he has done that I do like. But the guy, he went in, he met with somebody that, was it 50 years, 60 years now, 70 years, that we haven't been able to get even talk to him. And when he got in office, there was a big nuclear threat. A little rocket man was shooting rockets over and into the ocean and stuff. He could have popped China or South Korea at any time. And, he was calling him Little Rocket Man. They had their spats going on back and forth. But the fact that, he's not endorsing what Kim Jong-un does.
Not at all.
But he's at least stopping a nuclear war. And I guarantee you, if he didn't pull the summit off, Kim Jong-un has the capability, from what they say, to have missiles that would hit us. And if it would have went on for more months and months and months, and it was nothing Barack Obama did to stop it, Bill Clinton, even Clinton said on the news the other day that he wished he had done it. And for him to go in there and do that, I mean, I take my hat off to the guy.
Well, I think he did something that none of the presidents for the past 30 years have been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went that far back. And, when I became old enough to vote, Ronald Reagan was the president, and I voted for him. And I'm glad I voted for him because I think he was a wonderful president. And, he wasn't even able to do it. It was just something that no one's been able to do until Trump got into office. And even if it doesn't pan out completely the way he wants it to be, he got this far with it. No one else has been able to do that. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, where you like the guy or you don't, at least he's getting things done. I mean, he walks out his door in the morning. If he hears something's going on, he walks out his door and he tries to tackle it. Whether he says something bad or, he screws it up, he's still willing to go out there and do it. I mean, and that's a daily thing. For him to walk down into the lion's den with these reporters when 99% of them, the fake news as he calls it, and I see it. I get so sick and tired most of the time of watching CNN. If I watch Morning Joe one more time, I'm going to throw up. That guy is just, how do I say it nicely, an idiot. I mean, and then, I haven't seen CNN, and it's not that I'm a Fox watcher or CNN. I watch them all. MSN, I take the old saying, there's three sides to every story. There's, your side, their side, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth.
Right.
And that's what I do by going on the AP, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, which is another one I wouldn't give 2 cents for, CBS, ABC, NBC, all of them.
Mhm.
And that's what I derive my thing from. I don't care if Trump is a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care. But what I see going on now with all this crap, the Democratic Party doesn't seem to be able, and I'm not a Republican again. I'm independent. But the Democratic Party, here they were talking about the border wall. When Obama was in, he was talking about the border wall. Now all of a sudden, they're for it. They're against it, because Trump wants it. Anything this guy wants, they're against. And they're going to hold up federal funding and all kinds of stuff. I just don't see it being right. And then, they said, what was the one Democrat said the other day? It was actually Nancy Pelosi.
Gosh.
If there's no walls, families can be together and stuff. And if there's a wall, then, families will get separated. No, they won't. If there's a wall, those families have to stay on that side. There's past illegal citizenship. Obama set a lot of those up.
Right.
If you don't want to split their families up, it is illegal. Don't do it.
Right. They need to stay there.
If right now, say somebody we know got popped for drugs or, committed a bank robbery or trespassed, they don't give a crap about you getting taken from your son or me getting taken from my kids. They automatically take us to jail. What are your kids going to do? That's a thing as a parent that you have to decide for yourself. Hey, and I love, I don't have any race issues with anybody. Hell, you've been my best friend for 40-something years. It's going to get trouble for saying that, but
Yeah.
But we've been, best friends for all that. You're Hispanic. My dad was Blackfoot Indian.
Right.
Obviously, I don't have a thing against Hispanics at all, or you wouldn't be my friend if I was a racist toward Hispanics. But the problem is that, people just can't come into this country illegally. And it is illegal. I'm going to get sick if I see Nancy Pelosi get up and say one more thing. God, she needs to retire.
Badly.
I'd rather get in a colonoscopy by a hamster with a GoPro on it, shoved up my butt to see what's wrong with me, than see her in office one more year. Good Lord. Probably going to get people calling in about that.
Well, the thing is, there's a legal way to get into the country, and there's the illegal way to get into the country. And these people that are coming in illegally, it's not that we have any issues with people who come in the legal way. It's the people who come in the illegal way.
Yeah.
And there's so many more of those. And they're usually the people who have a reason why they can't get in the legal way, for some sort of crime or some reason why they shouldn't be here.
Well, the thing is, too, is that some of the illegals slipping in, not all of them, some of them are great people. Some of the illegals that are slipping in, look at MS-13. They took video of 14 of them raping this one girl that was only, 12, 14 years old? And then they're beating guys to death with baseball bats, all kinds of crap. We had a young lady that we're probably going to put on the air in the next 2 weeks, too. I did talk to her today. She lives up in Hartford, Connecticut. And I've checked out some of her story, and it is crazy. DCF came in and took her baby at birth. It was born at 33 weeks. It was premature. And had to be in an incubator for a few weeks. And because she went in to bathe the kid, this girl has no history of drugs. She's 24 years old. It's her first baby. She has no history of drugs, no history of mental illness, none that I can find. The family thinks she should have her kid. She went to the Hartford Hospital up there, and I'm still waiting on their comments back, and also trying to get all the court papers and everything. But she called up and told me her story today. And I probably shouldn't be saying it prematurely, but I've talked to a couple of her family members, and they verified it, that because she didn't know how to bathe the baby. She told me because it was premature, and it was so tiny that she was having a hard time bathing it. The nurse told her, "Why don't you go on home and then get a shower and get refreshed up?" She hadn't left the hospital a couple of times during that, 2-week period, but she needed to go home and get a shower. When she got home, DCF was already sitting in her house. They come in through the back door. It was open.
What?
And her brother was in the garage working on his car. And she's like, "Who are you?" And she goes, the woman, she recorded her too on her phone. She said, "Don't say nothing." So she went back to the hospital to see her child, and they wouldn't let her see her. They wouldn't let him see the child. They told her that she's an unfit mother because she couldn't bathe the baby right. So the child has now been, the baby was born, let me look at my notes here. I'm not going to give the whole story. Here we go. The baby was born actually on February 3rd of 2017. He's 8 months old now. And they put it with the aunt, or aunt, as she says.
Right.
And she's not allowed to see the baby except for once a week, and it has to be a supervised visitation in an hour. She's gone back and forth to the judge. Every time she's gone to the judge now, the last, I think 3 or 4 times she said she's gone, they've given her a different judge every time who looks at it and says, "We're going to have to move the case back." Now, she's gone and taken the parenting classes and all that, passed everything with flying colors. She does have a mild speech impediment, and she said so. Years ago, they labeled her as disabled when she was in elementary, middle school, because she couldn't quite talk right. She's taking speech classes, all kinds of stuff. But all because she couldn't bathe the baby correctly. No, my first
Disabled because of the speech impediment?
No, they just said the nurse just said she wasn't bathing the baby right and called DCF.
No, they labeled her disabled because of speech
Yes.
impediment?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Because she couldn't be understood, so the teachers, when she would ask questions, they said, "Well, and years ago it was like that. It probably still like that too. You can't talk right, means you're retarded, mentally handicapped,
Right.
She's
Well,
never been in trouble. No history of drugs. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
And she'll be on the show probably the week after. I've still got a bunch of digging around to do. So do you. By the way, drop that one on you.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, drop that one right
Well,
on you. Guess what you're going to be
That's
doing?
okay. Well, sounds like she definitely needs our help.
Oh, yeah. You know what we didn't do tonight? Because we're starting to count down on the clock here at 11 minutes. Lee Dandridge.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't get a picture this week. Lee got sunburned last week, and I've been trying to get pictures of her, and she's on vacation.
Well, you missed that.
I can't find Lobster Lady when she's not there. Oh my God. I've heard, but she's scared to death to put anything on Facebook now. And she's calling me every name in the book. Do we do the weather yet?
No, we haven't done the weather yet.
Good Lord. Pop that one up, Chris.
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead with the weather.
I am the new weather person, everybody.
We're probably going to have
So-
Cameron doing it later.
Are we going to do both the weather pictures?
Yeah, we'll
So I
pop the
sent
second one
two.
up.
Okay. This first weather picture is the temperatures across the nation. I'm just going to do this real quick for you guys. As you can see, the yellow areas are hot, except for that red spot right in the middle, which is hell, which is really, really hot. And those blue areas that you see up in the top corners, those are cold areas that never ever get warm. Those are the areas that just stay cold all year round. So there's your temperatures. As you can see, we're in the yellow zone.
They get
It's
warm.
hot.
When I went
Huh?
up to Canada, we need to get Murray on here.
I was going to say Murray would tell you that it doesn't ever get warm up in Canada. I don't think it ever does really get warm up there. And I know that the people that live in like North and South Dakota and those places will probably also tell you that it doesn't ever get warm up there.
Kidding?
And that part there and the red part in the middle is just really hot.
Are you kidding?
Hot.
When it gets 35 degrees up there, they start, oh man, it's a heat wave.
The ground starts to thaw ever so slightly before it starts to snow again.
No way. I gone up to New York when I worked on MacArthur Airfield. We were redoing the airfield. In the spring, or in the fall, we went in there and put down like 6 inches of dirt on the runway up there. And
Yeah.
we were going to go in, and because it was old vintage planes landing there, we were going to go ahead and put grass strips in it. But then it started
Oh, wow.
snowing early. So tell us to wait and come back in the spring. We did. The permafrost, it was crazy, had pushed right up through there, and it looked like a rock mine.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
nuts.
Are we talking like Kitty Hawk vintage or,
Yeah.
grass?
Yeah, that was up at MacArthur Airfield on Long Island. Yeah, it's actually what
Oh,
it was.
my.
They were landing
Wow.
old vintage planes on there, the old biplanes, props.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put the
Okay.
next one up.
All right. And this next one, oh wow, we squished the United States together. Everywhere you see green, it's going to rain.
What's the dark green?
The really heavy rain.
I know. It's going to rain. If you live in Florida,
The light green is the light rain, and the dark green is the heavy rain. And since we live in Florida and it's summertime, and now the last 3 or 4 years, all the time it rains in the summer here. Used to only rain in the evenings, but now it seems like it rains here all the time. We're kind of like Seattle, you see Seattle up there in the far upper left-hand corner. It rains there all the time, only it's cooler. And now in Florida, it rains here all the time. It's just hot and muggy.
For-
So, opposite corners of the country.
for the next 3 months, if you live in Florida, here's your weather forecast. We could do the 3 months for Florida right now. 50%
There you
chance
go.
every day. Some days
Here's your
100%. If you leave the house with an umbrella, make sure you have plastic umbrella because there's too much lightning.
Yep, there you go.
I think it was like 4 people last week got killed in Florida from lightning.
Oh, there's been a lot of lightning strikes. One gentleman was next to that barn that had the barn fire. He was in his house next door. I believe there was a couple of people that got struck.
Did he die?
With an umbrella. No, he did not. Actually, he almost did not even go to the hospital. He didn't feel like he needed to, but the EMS guys kind of urged him to go. I think, just to make sure that everything was okay, but he was fine. He was very lucky.
Oh, yeah.
Very lucky.
Yeah, remember when I got nailed sitting in my garage with my oldest boy working on his computer, and it hit a tree, came up through the ground, right across the concrete in the garage, and it melted the bottom of my shoes. If you see me in lightning, and Tammy will tell you.
Oh, I run the other way. Totally go the other way.
No, not because I've been hit. Yeah. What do I do? What do I do?
You run inside.
Run. I am a chicken. I don't care. I will
And
fall,
I run away from
but-
you because I don't want to get struck again. Because I've been indirectly hit through the electrical system in a house.
I just watched the thing on Weather Channel the other day. They said it doesn't matter if you're wearing a watch. You know how you see during the summer, I don't hardly wear a watch at all or a
Yeah.
necklace. And they said it doesn't matter. If it's going to get you. And I watched a guy on YouTube and on the Weather Channel. This poor guy was walking across the parking lot, got zapped in the head, and they show it in slow motion, falls down on the ground, gets up, staggers sideways, takes about 4 or 5 more steps, gets up, gets nailed again 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
And then he got up and walked away,
Poor
just
guy.
shaking his head.
Oh no.
He's gonna be,
Somebody was upset with him.
he's gonna be the poster child for brain damage. There ain't no doubt.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I wouldn't want to be standing anywhere near him.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Well,
that's
come-
like the guy with the sinkhole here, near here that was in Sefner. I told you about that one, right?
I don't know. Refresh my memory.
He was sleeping in his bed. The sinkhole opens up and swallows his bed. Just takes the whole bedroom, just the bedroom. The whole thing just disappears. And this sinkhole was so deep that they never could even find anything. It was just gone.
Yeah, that happened over in Lake Mary too. Lake Mary, Florida.
And they ended up like demolishing the house and putting a fence up around it because they didn't want anybody even getting near it.
That's a big
and-
cemetery at that point, or
I
big
was
grave.
Yeah, I was like, that's just a little too weird for me. It's almost like somebody was like, okay, you're done. It's time for you to, come on.
Yep.
Like he made a deal at some point, and it's like, okay, your time is up now.
That's when you know your
Just-
time's up.
Yeah,
That would suck.
not a good one.
That would suck. Be laying in bed, just about to fall asleep, and it's like you have those dreams where you're falling.
Mm-hmm.
You're laying in your
Not a
bed,
dream.
and all of a sudden, oh crap! Wait, I'm falling. Is this a dream? Is it alive? Is it Memorex? Oh, I'm dead. But
Yeah.
to this week, again, O'Reilly's. Make sure you guys go on there and sign up for that. You can check it out on IITWradio.com, IITW Radio on Facebook, the THE Putman Way, right here. Oh,
Hey.
focus. Automatic focus is not working.
Shove it in a little bit more and let it reset.
Okay. I can't figure this out. There you go. You can go on the Putman Way on Facebook. It won't be that blurry. Go on there, type that in. You can try to get the oil change. We don't make anything off of that. That's just O'Reilly's way of giving back. They do have a price match where if you find it anyplace else except for the internet, they're not going to warranty anything on the internet because some of these people are crazy. They're closing down shops. They're giving away parts for $20. They're not going to match that for a $200 part. But if you find it at another auto parts place, even if it's on a sale ad in your local area, they will cover that. This week, coming up Monday night, we've got From the Ether right there. You guys check those out on IITW Radio. We also have the story about Bob missing guns, DuPont violating their constitutional rights, throwing him in jail. Wednesday night, we have Shimmer Johnson for half hour. Then we're going to have James, the homeless guy, and his story will be coming out in a book here real soon. Tammy, you could tell them where to check it out on Twitter or whatever it is, or the other stuff we got.
We have our Twitter feed, which is again at the Putnam Way and at IITW Radio. Again, you need to go to the Putnam Way on Facebook and IITW Radio on Facebook and like both of our pages and follow us because we put lots of interesting stuff on those places.
Yeah, not just the county stuff either, or the
Yeah.
city stuff. It's
All kinds of stuff.
yeah. If you want to get a good laugh, go on there and see a woman shove her head up an exhaust pipe, or see a guy bring his drugs in and try to get them switched, get them tested.
And we try to keep you up to date on what's happening around the county as well.
All right. Well, I wanted to thank you guys for listening. And Chris, Cameron, Tammy, Stumpy, our manager, for watching and listening. We love you guys. If you have a problem, remember, send us an email. I'll shoot it over. And we'll talk to you on Monday night. God willing, the creek don't rise and the government don't get me first. Good night.